So maybe this is simple, maybe it's not. But I came to pick up my daughter the other day, and I was dressed a little more than I might be to pick her up. And she asked, how come I was dressed so fancy? And it really kind of just stirred, like, what is that? What is it when we dress a little more than we normally do? And I've made a personal conscious effort to just try to do a little bit more with my presentation and appearance when I leave the house. My job doesn't really allow that. So for me, when I get a chance, this is where I like to put some things into play. So I explained to her that because of work and I don't get to always dress a little nicer, that I decided to, and that I was going to start doing that on a more regular basis. So I'm not saying you have to have a tuxedo and a cummerbund and things like that, but I do get asked quite a bit sometimes on my dress or my style, so I figured I would kind of speak to it. And the way I explained it to her was that the way you dress is also like how you are addressing people about yourself. So, um, and this is where it gets tricky because the clothes don't make the person, of course, and there is something to be said about not judging a book by its cover. But I think that on some levels we can all agree that attire does matter, and it does evoke a certain response from people. So if you want to go down the path of, well, it shouldn't matter what other people think, that's fine. These are just my thoughts and my personal experiences. Being dressed a little better, I told her, versus pulling up in a hoodie and sweats and things like that, or t-shirts, uh, baseball caps, things that you typically see. Um, there's a difference. It's a language. You have a wardrobe language, and what that says in a lot of senses is if you have the hoodie, things like that, it's kind of just like walking up to somebody and just saying what's up, or using a lot of slang, versus wearing something a little more dressed. Will say, hi, my name is, and it's nice to meet you. And that is a lot of times how people will take that. Now, again, is it fair? Probably not. And there's a lot of stereotypes attached to some of these things. But for better or for worse, it just is that way. So, for instance, today, this is just a simple, you know, polo pullover. And the way that I look at it is a polo pulls on the same way that a t-shirt does. So my effort isn't greater by wearing something like this than it is a t-shirt. Just has a different level of maybe dress, just based off the collar, maybe the pattern, things like that. So again, it's not that one person is better than another for it, but it's still one of those things where I'm kind of like, okay, I'm just going to make this effort for myself. Now, here's the flip side. A lot of people might dress like this every day for their work. And so wearing the t-shirt and things like that is just a way to dress down, and it's a little different. And I have no problem with that. As a matter of fact, that's okay. But there's a reason that your job probably has you dressing like this, because they know that inherently, as a representation of their company, it's how you will be perceived and accepted by the general public. So while I don't have a job that mandates that, I'm still following somewhat of a blueprint that says people will be treated and received a little better and professionally in particular ways. Now, there's not every place that I need to go to where I'm doing this, but if I want to go to the store, if I want to go to the bank, if I want to run some errands, if there's an appointment that I need to keep, then maybe this is the time for me to say, like, I'm going to step in and I'm going to go into the office, or wherever I'm going, a little more professional. And again, in my experience, this has worked extremely well. The last few times I've had doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, things like that, you do get comments on your attire or your style, and that's nice. But it's not about chasing or pining for adulation from people. It's just saying that, I respect and I want to be respected, and so this is the exchange that I'm putting forth into this. Now, there's little things like just dressing up things just a small amount. So rather than jeans, again, I mentioned earlier, a pair of chinos. Rather than a t-shirt, a pullover. Rather than a ball cap, if you can find a different style hat that works for you, fedoras, things like that, Spitfires, you name it. Those are little things that can just dress your wardrobe up a little. And even if you have jeans with, say, like a Spitfire and just like a pullover, things like that, those will make and break just the differences. It's small differences. But again, these are things I'm addressing because I've been asked about my wardrobe. And so I thought it was kind of a neat subject to really kind of bring up. For ladies, I'm sure, dresses or heels or a mule clog or a fancy flat, those kind of things make the difference as well. The small piece of jewelry that you may have, your accessorizing, definitely can play a part in that as well. And it doesn't take much, and it doesn't take a lot of money. That's the other thing. I kind of liken it to eating better. When people say it's too expensive, it just depends where you shop and depends what you're getting and how much of it you're getting. So you can look at Goodwill for certain things that will give you the ability to have maybe a dressier wardrobe, and it doesn't have to have a high end name tag or price tag on it. How you wear it is going to be the dictating factor of how it's perceived. And wow, he looks like $1 million. Nobody said he's worth $1 million. He looks like $1 million. That's kind of the smoke and mirrors of it. So, um, chinos, button downs, simple button downs, polos, a change in hats, a little bit of difference in maybe what your accessories are, or if you don't wear accessories, just a simple bracelet of, and it doesn't have to be gold or anything. It could be like a leather tie-on bracelet, just something that gives you your own mark of particular style. The other thing is finding colors in your particular wheelhouse. The one thing that has really made my wardrobe user friendly is that my colors complement each other. Now that's the key word, is complement. Colors don't always have to be match like where they are the exact. Let the colors complement each other. It's like um, a steak and a particular wine, they complement each other, or the spices that are made for that steak or whatever food it is, they complement each other. It's not just salt and then extra salt, because those would match as far as flavors. So think of things that you want to complement one another. I won't get into things like fragrances because I personally don't wear them, but I do know that for a lot of people, that's another portion of how that comes into play. The one thing I would say is don't go overboard. So, ladies, when it comes to makeup, I think sometimes too much makeup for a lot of people is more of a deterrent. When and just like guys, don't go crazy with the body spray. Those things don't always work out, or the crazy product in the hair where it's all spiky and things like that. And some people might even say don't go crazy with the beard. It's all subjective. But again, these are just my thoughts. These are my expressions. This is my experience. So I wanted to share that. Um, Belts, tucking your shirt in sometimes does make a difference, because I see a lot of guys walking around with dress shirts that are hanging out. And when you see like that swoop on the side, that means that shirt's meant to be tucked in. So a lot of times we might have to start looking for shirts that are built to not be tucked in, and it has that greater appearance. So it's not hanging way further down than uh, than than normal. Because in a lot of cases, sometimes dressing too sloppily in something like a button down or slacks or chinos is a worse look than a nice looking t-shirt and jeans. I know I'm all over the place with this, but there are a lot of points to be made with it, and it's just one of those things. So personal style will definitely come into play. Find your wheelhouse of colors, things that will complement each other. That way your wardrobe interchanges a lot. That way this shirt can go with those pants, and those pants can go with this other shirt, and so forth and so on. That way you're not trying to make things just about this outfit, then this outfit, then this outfit, and they're all different colors, and so that way they can't cross. I have a lot of clothes that can match across with other things, and that's a huge help in putting things together. The last thing that I would say is, just like with anything, give it some thought and possibly give it some practice. Just take the time to look at your wardrobe every once in a while and say, this does go with that, that goes with that. Talk to your girlfriends, boyfriends, best friends, and maybe look online. There's some style channels that will give you some tips that are beyond my knowledge as far as this goes. But as a very simple person, this is just where I'm at with it. So, guys, hopefully this helps. Just keep in mind that a lot of times, the same way we would not address people going into, say, a dentist office, we wouldn't just walk into the receptionist and say, "What's up?" That's kind of what our clothes say at times. Yoga pants are for yoga classes. Hoodies and things like that, use those for when it's chilly outside and you're going to uh, the park to shoot some ball or something like that. It doesn't always have to be that way, but it doesn't always have to be the other way as well. Every time you step out of the house, it's something like that. And to this point, it was kind of cute. My daughter's mother and I were at her poetry recital the other day, and she told me that our daughter put her on the no hobo watch or no hobo list or something like that. And I said, "What is that?" And she said, "Well, she told me that after you showed up, the last time I showed up, the kids thought I was rich, and I really wasn't dressed up. But it goes to show how infrequently they see adults dressed, and so the kids thought I was rich." And it was funny. But she said after that, she put her on a no hobo watch where she said, "Mom, you can't come just dressed any way that you want to." To be fair, she said, "Well, I work from home. I'm in sweats and a hoodie and things like that." But my personal feeling is, even if you are leaving the house, do that. Recognize the circumstance in which you will be going to, and that way you can have a better result. And it does say a lot if somebody says, especially through the eyes of a child, "No hobo." You have to dress better. And I don't know if given the opportunity, if a lot of children would, but she was given something to compare it to. Between her mother and father, and I really don't like those comparisons. I would never make them myself, but if somebody is observing that, then it's fair game. So, guys, just keep that in mind. And I'm going to leave it at that. I think I've gone on long enough. So, hopefully, this helps. If you have any comments, questions, concerns about it all, please leave it in the comment section. I would love to have just a small exchange with anybody about that and go from there. Subscriptions to the channel are free and they are very appreciated. If you like this content, please feel free to share it, tag it, add it, or anything else. Guys, have a fantastic day. Peace, love, unity, solidarity.